Well, good afternoon, everybody. Ron Wheeler here. Glad to have you all with us for our class this afternoon on how to generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. Hope you're excited about what we've got in store for you. I think you should be because this is something that really can change your life for the much better. So hopefully you're excited about seeing some of these income ideas with options. So do me a favor though, before we get started, and again, and just so you know, I opened up the room. It's about 5 minutes early, so we aren't going to start officially yet. But I do like to start the room just for a couple minutes. That way I know everything works. So do me a favor. If you can hear my voice and see my screen, it should say on air. Just type a yes in the chat window. And then on the right-hand side, well, wherever your little go-to meeting box is, there should be a little chat drop down. If you open up that little chat, you can just type right in there. I see all the messages. You guys can't see each other's messages, unfortunately, which is kind of a bummer, but that's the way GoToWebinar works. Just let me know that you can see my screen and hear my voice. All right, see lots of yeses popping in there. Just a couple folks, Edwin, Paul, Eric, Robert. I see a couple more posts in there. So it's starting to fill up now. That's good. And like I said, as you are hopping into the room, just let me know that you can hear my voice and see my screen. That way I know that everything is working very, very well. All right. Now, also, just for the heck of it, while we're kind of just sitting here testing the audio, testing everything out, what time is it by you? I'm always curious because, somebody that spent 10 years on the road, going to different cities all over the country and all over the country and all over the world, it's always nice to be able to sit here in my home office and do this. So for me, it's about 4:57 p.m. I'm in Ohio, by the way, born and raised in Ohio. I work for VectorVest. They have an office here in Ohio that I work out of. Although, to be fair, I'm working from home tonight because it's a 5 o'clock class. I don't like to stay to the office till 7. So I like to do my later classes at home. That way I can just go right from my office to bed. All right. Wow. Looks like the majority of you, um, Paul and Robert and James and Peter, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Wow. Looks like a lot of you guys are 5 o'clock. I know there's a bunch more popping in there that I can't see, but oh, there we go. There's some Gary at 2, Central Time, Robert. All right. Cool. Looks like most of us here are in the eastern part of the United States, whether it's Central Time, whether it's Eastern Time. I view Chicago as kind of like the Midwest. We're all Midwesterners here, you know? Just kidding. All right. And then, hey, just while you're typing in there, what do you do for a living? Are you retired? You still working? Only reason I ask is I like to get an idea of who's attending. When I originally talked about or created this concept of trading, just to give you a little bit of a background before we get started, I am a reformed day trader. I day traded for over a decade, commodities, mainly commodities. They could have been, euro, yen. I traded a lot of S&P, Dow Jones futures, occasionally the Russell, a lot of bonds and notes. But I was looking for a way ultimately to not day trade as much anymore because I was spending like all day glued to the market. So I kind of, as I learned more and more about options, and I'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through the curriculum today about why I made the change into options. But one of the things I liked about it was I could reproduce my profits, but I could spend a lot less time trading. So when I started working for VectorVest almost 10 years ago now, they had tasked me to create a system that we could teach our retired clients. And I'm like, well, I don't think there's anything better than what I personally do. That's what you're going to see today. Because the cool part is, whether you're still working or whether you're not, you can have this system in place that you take as little as 15 minutes a week, or you can spend 4 or 5 hours a week on it. It scales up perfectly too. So, whether you're retired or not, it still works. But I always like to get an idea of what the folks are. And it looks like retired. Johnny Slaving, I like that. Retired, Peter, Keith, insurance broker, geologist. I like that, Paul. That's cool. I've never had a geologist. Cool. Well, it looks like, the majority of you are retired. So keep in mind, for those of you that are retired, this is something that you can do in as little as 15 minutes a week. For those of you that are working, keep in mind, this is something you could do as little as 15 minutes a week. That's the beauty of it. I very rarely sit in front of my computer looking at the markets anymore because it's just not something that I have to do. So let's do this. It is now 5 o'clock. Let's go ahead and jump into the formal presentation. So let's officially get started. I want to again welcome you to today's webinar. It's called How to Generate 3% per month with as little as one option trade per week. And in today's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the breakthrough system I developed here at VectorVest to help generate income in any market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you has not only changed my life, more importantly, I've seen it change the lives of so many other people. So I hope you're excited about it as well. In this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging 3% per month or more. Now, I want you to keep in mind, you can do this regardless of market direction. You can do it with little to no prior experience with options. It's safer than just going out there and buying and selling stocks. And it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, I know this might sound too good to be true. You might be thinking, is this legit? You want some proof? Well, I would be too if I were you, because I see those overhyped advertisements. I see these influencers on YouTube or Instagram. I don't really look at Instagram, but Facebook, where, oh, another day of trading, I made another $70,000. Yeah, sure you did. Sure you did. Okay. I'm not like that. I'm not going to post a picture of my jet. I don't have a jet, so I can't really post a picture of it. But I also won't picture of one saying that I have one either. But you kind of get the idea, right? I like to let the real results stand for themselves. What did I tell? What did I say at the beginning? 3% per month. Well, guess what? This is last year, 2023. Okay? $37,000 in profits based off $100,000 in capital. I spend about an hour a week trading. I average about 10 to 15 trades per month. My average winning trade's 1,000. My average losing trade's 1,000. So I don't have huge losses. Now, if you'll also look, notice that I don't make money every single month. I made money last year in 8 out of 12 months. 4 months, I had some drawdown. That happens, not a big deal. Okay? That's what real trading looks like. If somebody doesn't show you something that looks like this, it's probably not real. Now, for this year so far, I'm up about 10%. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, I am probably going to have some drawdown this month, so I'll probably be a little bit less than that, but I'm still very, very much on pace for, again, another average of 3% per month. Again, average winning trade 87, average loser 755. I do not have big losses. My gains, my losses are very proportional to each other. This is how a real trading strategy should work. That's the beauty of what you're going to see here today. Okay? Now, I've been teaching this technique since really 2016 here at VectorVest, and one of my recent students sent me this email back in December. He said, hey, Ron, just wanted to send a quick email to thank you and your team for the SPX Paycheck course taught back in September. I've been using the method, tracking my performance, and thought you'd like to see the results. I entered my first 35 Delta trade on September 21st, 23, with only $5,000 in my margin account. So you can do it with small amounts. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24.9%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retire in-laws to help them grow their accounts in retirement. I love to hear that. And there's also a lesson here for you. You don't have to have $100,000 to trade this. You can start small while you learn and practice because it builds up quickly. For example, if you started with $5,000 and you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that puts you at $1 million. And if you started with $25,000, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than 5 or 25,000, you'd get there much, much faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and results with you, and we're going to talk about a few of them today. And these are real people just like you. As I teach you the system today and share their stories, I want you to pay close attention because you might find you're in a similar position now as they were when they started. Again, my name is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the options trading manager here at VectorVest. I've been trading now for 27 years. Now, when I first started, I mentioned I was a commodities trader. In my first starting trades, I had mostly losses. In fact, I actually lost the complete trading account a couple times. Now, the reason why I had a hard start and why I was losing because I was trading in a way that required me to be right to make money. So if I bought something, it had to go up. If I went short something, it had to go down. Okay? The bottom line is if I wasn't right on direction, I would lose money. Now, fortunately, I had some very good mentors. I wasn't just some average guy trading. I worked for a company that developed trading software and algorithms. I had some great tutors. So after my initial stumbling blocks, I became a pretty good trader under their tutelage, right? It wasn't on my own, but I never really embraced options. Options to me were like this big black hole. All I knew about options was you could buy an option and you could still lose money even if you are right. I don't like that. And then even though options are limited risk, there was just a lot of things I didn't like about options. I loved commodities. Well, as I was in my career and I was teaching technical analysis and teaching trading as I got good at it, one of our clients actually who had our software, he was an options trader. But more importantly, he was a hedge fund manager options trader. He actually came out to our office and he visited us because he was in town on business. He said, "Hey, Ron, just want to kind of go out and see the gang. You cool?" I'm like, "Yeah." Well, he kind of showed me what the institutional side of being an options trader was. And it wasn't just buying an option. He showed me how to use options so that even if I was wrong with my analysis, I could still make money. So, long story short here, if I thought something would go up, I could put together an option trade on it where I could make money even if I was wrong. Think of the pressure that takes off you. Now, the other great part about option is they're risk defined trades. So I know what the profit is ahead of time. I know what the pre built loss is. I don't have to worry about my average gain, my average loss. I don't have to worry about that. Okay? That's the beauty of it. Think of the pressure again that takes off you. Risk is locked in. You don't have to be right to make money. That was very, very interesting to me as a trader. So I started dabbling more and more with options. And, fast forward, I pretty much forgo all my commodity trading around 2012 for the most part. And now I just concentrate on options. I do index options, I do stock options. You'll see a lot of that, what we do today. So in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'm going to show you case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this, and I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow our strategy, you can do the same. Now, if you stay with me to the end, I put together a little checklist to help you plan out your trades. A PDF, I'll put it right in the handout section of GoToWebinar. I'll drop it right in there. You can click on it and print it out today. But remind me when we get to the Q&A section because most of the times I forget. Okay, why is this such an important topic? Well, without an income system, it's on you, and that creates a number of problems for us. If we aren't retired, it keeps us stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. Whether you got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we're going to run out of money, that can have a huge impact on our life, our health, and our relationship. If you're already retired, you might be watching your savings get depleted faster than you can fill it, especially with prices going up so much today. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw on your account. You may even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you'll run out of money during retirement. Now, I think with a good system in place that helps you generate income, things are a lot different. I think this is one of the most important points of the webinar, so pay close attention here and even write down what I'm about to say. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. To be financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say it again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Now, whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but they kept paying you. It's like a tap you can turn on whenever you want. This is going to allow you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. When you got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. As I said, and I think this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it again. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free or have the ability to retire. For example, Brian's a client of ours who's a great example of how easy you could become proficient at drawing an income from the market, even if you don't want to invest a lot to begin with. Brian had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. By using our options paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profit starting with just $6,000. He had 100% winning trades in 10 months. He said he had 31 out of 31 winning trades using our most basic system. Now remember this because this is the key point. This is not beginner's luck. It's the result of following a good system. It's the system that helped him get 100% winning trades and create that $23,000 profit, starting with just $6,000 in 10 months safely. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns, it's a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being an option seller is the way you can make consistent income each month and allow you to win even if you're wrong. Now, the reason you want to be the casino or the house is that A, the house always wins. Why does the house always win? Number two, because they control and they stack probability in their favor. Our options paycheck system is built around that same idea, stacking odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. Now, the obvious question is, how do we do it? Well, the first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of shifting from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. Prior to working with us, he said he had mainly taken stock tips from his brokers. He focused on our SPX income system, which is our most basic system. He said he's not the most technical person in the world. But in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100,000 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole thing takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. Here's an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. And by the way, this is one of the reasons why I was really not that keen on options when I started. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so you either buy shares of it or you buy a call option. Well, why do you buy a call option? Mainly for two reasons. Because that's number one, what you do if you think a stock will go up. The second hidden reason is you're too cheap to buy the stock. And options are a nice little leveraged way of doing it, right? There's two reasons why. Well, what ends up happening a lot of times when you do this, that's the problem. Either the stock doesn't go up, you picked the wrong stock, or this is what really got me. It didn't go up enough. It went up, but not enough for me to make money. And the option ends up expiring worthless. Has it ever happened to any of you? Yes? Well, what's the problem causing you to lose? Most people feel the problem is they picked the wrong stock. Maybe the wrong strike price, or maybe the wrong expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners in other systems, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how you put probability on your side. It's how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having that buyer's mentality, we are going to have a seller's mentality. Instead of just hoping a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock to just go in your direction, you can pick a price which basically says, as long as the stock doesn't go down to here, you can make money. Think about that. You can pick a price down here, and as long as the stock stays above it, you can make money. If the stock goes up, you make money. If the stock goes sideways, you make money. The stock can even come down a little bit and you still make money. So right from the very beginning, probability is on your side. And you can increase that probability even more. You simply choose a lower price, which gives you a bigger area where you can be right. Now, we do a lot of our trades that start off with a 70% chance of success, and you can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and this is the definition of an income trade. An income trade is one where you can make money even if you are wrong on direction. Bruce, by the way, continues to trade with me every week. I just talked to him this morning, in fact. In fact, he posted in our private group and said, another day trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and a cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That's a great picture of being financially free. Now, Mike was someone who dabbled with options but said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on each of your trades? Well, eventually he just gave it up. He tried to go back to learn more about options, see what he was doing wrong, but he said he never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. He didn't have any set criteria, so much knowledge, but no real practical way to use it. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. Now, again, remember the key lesson. He went from buyer to seller, gambler to the house, and that turned his situation around. He was even so proud of his success, he sent me the spreadsheet of his trades. And here's Mike's results. I want you to notice the number of winners compared to losers, and that's typical. Also, notice the number or the length of trades. He's going to trade for 10 days, for 7 days, for 6 days, 11 days, a couple for 3 days, 2 days. He's pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 10 days. And if you're like Mike and a lot of our students, you can start by just trading the S&P, the SPX. That's an index that tracks the S&P 500. It involves only one trade per week and has averaged a compounded return of about 4.5% per month since 2016. The odds are stacked in your favor on these trades. You're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. You're growing your account steadily each year. And that's really the key takeaway. Home runs look good, but singles are what win the game. These singles are what will enable you to never run out of money and be able to do the things that you want to do. Now, you've seen by simply flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now we're going to continue to stack the odds further in our favor by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. The first mistake is that buyers choose unrealistic strikes. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has very little chance of hitting it. So here's a stock. Let's say someone's bullish on the stock. A mistake a lot of option buyers make is they buy calls with strike prices way above the stock price. Well, why do they buy these options if the stock has little chance of hitting it? So when I say hitting it, here's what I mean. To make money on this position, the stock's going to have to go from 217 to 230. If it doesn't go beyond 230, you're really not going to get a return on this. They buy these options because they're cheap. They treat options like lottery tickets, like a scratch off for $50, right? Well, guess what? Most of the time they lose. They're like the gamblers. Now, since there's always going to be buyers out there who buy these options, you may as well be the one who sells it to them. You're selling an option that has a low probability of getting hit. And because it has a low probability of getting hit, you have a high probability of winning. And the same goes for puts. There's people who buy puts way down below the market, either as, again, lottery tickets, or maybe they're using it as a cheap insurance policy for the stock they own. Listen, it doesn't matter why. The fact is, there's always buyers out there buying those options. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Selling these options gives you a 60 to 90% probability of success right from the very start of the trade. Now, the second mistake is that buyers choose expiration dates that are too close to the current date. It's like going to the grocery store and seeing a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but it will be worthless very soon. And the same is true for options. Here you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days until expiration. Notice, this is in the upper left-hand corner, 180 days from expiration, and then down in the lower right is expiration date. Over that 180 days, it took 135 days to lose half of the option value. But notice in the last 45 days, the price really drops off. Now, a lot of buyers, they buy their options with less than 45 days till expiration. Well, why do they buy these options if there's so little time left? They're doing it again because options are cheaper. It's like buying a lottery ticket. But by doing this, you're stacking the probability against you. So instead of buying options in that window, you want to sell them the options. Now, to be more specific, we're going to be selling in usually a 21 to 45 day window. That's the sweet spot for this. Enough premium to make the risk worthwhile and enough time decay to put that in your pocket. Here's another way of looking at it. This is a graph of Home Depot. Now, most buyers will go out there, they'll buy an expiration maybe out here. It's about a month and 2 weeks away, probably around 35 to 40 days. But that expiration is too close. Notice again how the value of that option drops off dramatically just because it's getting closer to expiration. That is bad for the option buyer. But you're not going to be the option buyer anymore. You're going to be the option seller. That time decay works in your favor. Now remember this, there's always going to be people out there buying options that have expiration dates too close. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Let them be the gambler. You be the casino. You always win in the end. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they just simply pay too much. They buy what's called an overpriced option. So let me tell you what I'm talking about here. Here's two stocks. I want you to look at the top. I want you to notice that both stocks are around the same price, about 76 bucks. In fact, they're 12 cents difference apart. But even though the stock's at the same price, look at how different the option prices are. Over on the left, that option, that one call is going to cost you $910. Over on the right, it's only going to cost you $180. Why? It's the same strike, same price stock, same expiration. Well, the difference is that option on the left has extremely high volatility. Well, what's the big deal, right? Why do you care about not buying options that are high priced? Well, let me show you. Let's pretend both stocks go up $8 per share. I want you to think about that. If you bought 100 shares of each of these stocks, you walk away with an $800 profit. In like 5 weeks, this stock goes up $8. That option on the left actually lost value. You would have been a loser. The stock went in your direction and you lost money. Versus over on the right-hand side, right? That option made about a 400% gain. It all comes back to that high volatility. You know, a lot of people think about this and say, well, Ron, who cares if the option's too expensive? This is why it's important. I always like to use the example of my kids love strawberries, right? When I go to the store, last time I went, strawberries were like $2.50 a pint. I've seen them as high as 5 or 6. Now, if my kids really want strawberries, I'll pay the $5. I don't like it, but when I take them home, the kids are going to eat them. The value's really irrelevant at that point. The kids are going to eat them. They're going to have the same satisfaction. But when it comes to trading, buying an option that's too expensive is not going to make the same amount of money. In fact, it puts you way behind. Now, since this is a demonstration of mistakes that buyers make, we're going to find these high volatility options and we're going to sell them. Why? Because the more money that we sell an option for, the lower amount of risk that we have, monetary risk, we can add more probability, and we make more money. It's a win-win-win-win-win all the way around. Stack more probability on your side. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, Bob was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times, and in his own words, came close to living under a bridge. Now, the options paycheck system helped him turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies that helped him control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, Bob grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, in order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. Now, let me ask you a question. I want you to share with me in the chat. For those of you who have traded options before, especially bought, have any of you ever made those mistakes? Just type a yes or no in the chat. I see lots of yeses. Yep, 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 yep. James, honey, yep, yep. Listen, we've all made those mistakes as option buyers. It's not our fault. We were just taught broken systems, or we weren't taught a system at all. Now, hopefully at this point, you see the advantage of being an option seller, and you're intrigued. You want to look more into this, right? So let's look at how to trade with little risk. Now, when a lot of people hear the word options, and especially the term selling options, they think it's risky. However, the options paycheck system uses a low risk strategy for selling options. And that's why it's a core strategy we would teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Well, a lot of people who don't use the options paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. They have one bad trade wipe out all the gains from a bunch of winners. And when you suffer large losses, it's hard and it takes a long time to recover. But when you do it right with the right system in place, you're going to have a built in protection plan. You're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. That's going to allow you to preserve and grow your capital. Because when you can confidently select your stocks and set up your trades in ways that reduce risk, that's how you do it. Home runs look good, but singles are what win the games. And if you recall my trading results from 23 and so far in 24, my average gain is equal to my average loss for the most part. I do not have large losses. Now, one of the common questions we get is, can I trade this kind of methodology in an IRA? Well, a client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our options paycheck system. He had tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades and more than doubled the size of his IRA, his words, while spending no more than about 15 minutes per day on his trading. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk even before you open the trade. First, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, similar to what you would see here. Then, instead of selling an option naked, we're going to sell with some protection. So let me show you how to do this. A traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. In some cases, infinite risk. The options paycheck system shrinks your risk to this. So let me show you how this works. This again is a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable to be bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, people would buy the stock here, maybe even buying a call and using that as a strike price. But remember, you're not the buyer anymore, you're the seller. So here's what you're going to do. When you think a stock will go up, you are going to go underneath the stock price. Why underneath? Well, remember, we want a way to make money if the stock goes up, sideways, or down. We're going to go underneath the stock and sell a put. Now, when we sell a put, we get paid. In this case, $200. If I did 10 contracts, we would get paid $2,000. Okay? However, that leaves you with all this risk. Now, let me explain why. When you sell an option, it's not like when you sell something on like Facebook Marketplace or eBay. Well, more like Facebook Marketplace. eBay has so many, it doesn't matter. Okay? You want to sell your dining room set. You sell it for 800 bucks. Somebody on Facebook Marketplace comes out, they look at your dining room set, they say, yeah, I like it, I'll take it. They give you 800 bucks, they take the dinette set, they're gone. You're done. Transaction complete. Congratulations. Option selling is best described as like your insurance, right? You buy car insurance. You pay a premium, maybe $1,000. For that $1,000 premium now, the insurance company is bound to protect your assets. It's a contractual obligation they have. They have to protect your cars. If you get into an accident, they are responsible for paying for the damage. That's the contract that you bought from them. They sold you the contract providing you that. Now, let's say it's a 3-month policy. At the end of 3 months, if you had no claims, they keep the premium, the contract expires, and they're done. Now, how does it work with an option? When you sell a put, that put comes with the possibility that you may have to buy the stock at whatever strike price you sold. So if I sold a 135 put on this stock, I may have to buy the stock for 135. Now, if the stock were to make a sudden drop to, let's say, 100 bucks, now all of a sudden I might be forced to buy the stock for 135. that leaves me in a huge hole. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to cap our risk to this. That's it. We're going to cap our risk. How do we do that? What we're going to do is, using the money that we got paid when we sold the option, we are going to buy a put as insurance. Now, when you sell a put, it comes with the potential obligation to buy the stock. When you buy a put, it comes with the right to sell the stock. So if the worst case happened and I got forced to buy the stock for 135, I can turn around and sell it to somebody else for 130. Now, let me explain this. What I'm talking to you about right now is theoretical. I've been trading options for 15 years, the way I'm teaching you guys today. I've never had to do this. I've never had to do that. I've never been put to a stock. I've never had to use my insurance policy to get out of it. So people might ask, well, Ron, if that's the case, why do you buy the insurance? Well, there's a lot of advantages to it. Number one, it reduces your costs, reduces your margin, it reduces your risk. There's a lot of reasons why you buy the insurance, even though you're not going to use it as such. This is going to limit your risk. Now, that insurance, as you see on the screen, costs you something. In this case, it cost me $100, but that's okay. When I entered the trade, I got paid $200 for selling the option. I used $100 of that to buy my insurance. I'm still getting paid $100 to make this trade. If I did it on 10 contracts, I can now $1,000. So this is essentially what you've done, is you've sold a contract that if you did 10 of them, you get paid $1,000. Now, if the stock goes up, what happens is those options you traded, they're starting to lose their value very, very fast. You sold them for $1,000. Now remember, you have an obligation. You have a contract on. It's not, again, it's like an insurance company, right? The insurance company cashes your premium, but they don't just go away. They have to protect you. Now, if the stock goes up, the value of those options are going to get lower and lower and lower. You've sold them for $1,000. Now here's the cool part, right? You can go out into the option market and say, hey, I don't want this anymore. I sold this for $1,000, but now based on the current market value, it's worth like 500. Anybody want to take this off my hands? And they will. And you can make profits. Or, and I don't do this, you can let the option expire with no value and you make the full 1,000. That's what happens if the stock goes in your direction. If the stock goes sideways, guess what? We still make money because the options are still going to decline in value. And as long as we stay above 135, this trade can still make money. Now here's the kicker. I sold a 135 put. That 135 put becomes my stop. If the stock drops past 135, I'm going to exit the trade. No different than if you bought this stock, if you bought 100 shares of this stock for 138, and you looked at it and said, you know what? If it drops below 135, I'm giving up on the trade and getting stopped out. Options are the same thing. You can do the exact same concept with an option. That's the beauty of it. You can still use stops. You can still exit the trade before you lose too much money. You don't have to let options expire worthless. You can go out there and you can simply exit the position with another options trader. That's the beauty of it. All right, here's what I want to do. I want to show you a couple trades I did with my clients last year. Now, just so you know, I do a weekly coaching course here at VectorVest, and I do live trades with my clients. So that what I showed you for my results last year, those were all live trades I did with my clients in 2023. So I picked a couple of them out here that I want to show to you to kind of show you how the trades actually work. Now, what I do is I trade directionally. So when the market is bullish, I place bullish trades only. Now, here's a quick tip. I'm going to explain what this means. But when I trade, I sell options that give me at least a 60% probability of winning. So let me explain this. This is a stock, PHM, Pulte Group, right? Very, very good bullish stock this last year. Look at that. I mean, who wouldn't want to be involved in that stock, right? So let's zoom in a little bit. Pulte is trading at about 76 bucks. What I do is I go out into my options chain. Now, most brokers have this. Options Pro, our VectorVest options trading software has this. What you do is you go out there, you look at the expirations between 21 and 45 days. This one happens to probably be about 25 days to expiration. And I can look. If I sell a $75 put it has a 56% chance of staying above $75 from here till expiration. So if I sell that put, that means it has a 56% chance of staying above 75. The stock's at 76. If I go down a little bit farther to the $73 put, it gives me a 73% chance to make money. Why? Because there's a 73% chance that the stock will stay above $73 a share till expiration. Now, what are these percentages based on? They are based off something called historical volatility. That means what the stock has done in the past. If I go all the way down to 70, I have a 91% probability of staying above that. Well, let me ask you a question. Knowing nothing else about options trading, who would rather have a 56% chance to make money, a 73 or a 91% chance? Let me know in the chat, which would you rather have, knowing nothing else about options? Who'd rather have 56, 73, or 91? I'll give you about 5 seconds to type a response in. All right, 91, 91, 91, 91, 91. Okay, a couple of you cheated with 73, but most of you are answering 91%. You know, Paul and Keith and Robert. Peter, you were an outlier at 73. Listen, most of us would choose 91% if we could, right? Who wouldn't want to make money 9 out of 10 times? Well, I'm telling you, you can. You can make money 9 out of 10 times with one caveat. Every time you win, you make $1,000. Every time you lose 15. 10 trades, 9 winners, you made 9 grand. 1 loser, you lost $15,000. How good is making 9 out of 10 winners? If that's the case, that's not going to work. With options, like anything in the world, right? Too much of something is not good. Probability is the same thing. Too much probability is not good. Like expiration. Remember we talked about the expiration being 21 to 45 days. It's kind of like the sweet spot. 60 to 70% probability is the sweet spot for this. It gives us enough chance to make money and reduces our monetary risk so we lose very little if we're wrong. So in this trade right here, when the trade was said and done, I chose the 73% probability. It was right in my sweet spot of that 60 to 70% range, and it gave me a very good chance to be successful. Now, I sold a $73 put. I bought a 70 as my insurance. Now remember what this does now, right? I think that the stock is going to go up. And let me change my ink color real quick. I think that the stock, there we go, is going to go up. If it does, these options will lose their value quickly. But the key here is, as long as it stays above 73, so it's just got to stay above here, I can make money. Now, when I took this trade, I got paid about $1,700 roughly. So when I entered the trade with my $100,000 account, I brought in about $1,700 in premium. My goal is to exit the trade when I can capture and keep half of it. So as the option or as the stock goes up, the options decline in value. I can turn around, and in this case, 3 days later, I was able to exit the position for an $876 gain. It only took me 3 days. So you're not staying in these trades till expiration. In fact, the average run is 7 to 10 days. This happened to be a little bit faster. Okay? I took in a premium of about $1,700-ish. I exited the trade when I could lock in 876 of it. Now, let's flip the script a little bit because the market's not always bullish. Last year it was bearish. It started out bearish for a little while this year too. It's been bearish the last couple of weeks. Actually, really for the whole month of April until the last week. When the market is bearish, I place bearish trades. So an example of that would be Target. Extended downtrend, broke below a prior low. Let's zoom in a little bit closer. Now, we're going to win if Target stays below the strike price that we chose. Now, this option's probably about 35 to 40 days to expiration. Still in that 21 to 45 day sweet spot, so that's good. I go to my option broker, and again, Thinkorswim, IB, Fidelity, E-Trade, Ally, they all have this stuff. It's either probability or a probability calculator. They all have this stuff. If I sell a 135 option That's this guy right here. I have a 64% chance of winning. That means there's a 64% chance that the stock stays below 135. If I sell a 140, it gives me a 76% chance of winning because that means the stock can stay below 140. So again, think about that. The stock can go down, which is what I want it to do. It can go sideways, or now it can go up, and I still have room to make money. Or if I choose A, I have an 85% chance. Because again, now I've got a bigger room to be wrong. And as much as I would like that bigger room, I think we learned that that big probability percentage is not always the case. So knowing what you know now, which strike would you choose? A 135, 140, or a 145? Do you want 64%, 76%, 85%? Which one, based on what we've learned so far, sounds the best to you? All right, I see lots of 76%. Keith, Edwin chooses 64%. I see 64%. Gary, you're at C. B. Paul, Peter, 76%. All right, so based on what I'm seeing, you guys are kind of conflicted a little bit, right? You're conflicted a little bit. Some of you are choosing C, some of you are choosing B. Well, here's the cool part. You're both right. You can use either one of these. They're in that 60 to 70% area, okay? You're both right. You're all right. If you're choosing B and C, you're both right. Now, here's what I do next. When I do an option, I sell the option that gives me the highest probability to win that meets the proper risk to reward criteria. Now, if you remember we talked about selling overpriced options with high volatility? There are going to be times that you see an option that's so expensive, you can actually sell an 80% option sometimes. Not very often, but sometimes you can sell options that high. These options were pretty overpriced, so I was actually able to go all the way out to 76%. Now, this trade's a little bit different. I showed you before that we were doing puts, the bull put spread. This is called a bear call spread. Bear, because it's something you do when you're bearish, when you think something is going to go down. Calls, because we're using calls now instead of puts. Spread, because we're doing two options with a $5 difference in strikes. Okay, so a bear call spread. I sell a $140 call, and I simultaneously buy a 145 as insurance. Now, this is a little bit more typical of a trade. When I sold the trade, I collected about $1,530. Okay? And in 7 days, I was able to exit the trade and keep 50% of the premium I got paid. Now, look, the stock only went down about $3 a share. It didn't even go down very much. But here we are 7 days later, I was able to lock in the profits and exit that trade. 7 days. That's typical. 7 to 10 days is the normal run. Okay? So whether it's bullish or bearish, we can still do it. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent. He felt unsatisfied. He kept going back to there had to be something else out there that was better. Have you ever felt that way? There's something more out there. Jim said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and provide more of a regular income with a higher probability of success. He said after learning the system of being an option seller, he told me he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. His average trade lasted 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel going from inconsistent to where you're hitting profits at that level? Well, that's Jim. What about you? What would an income system like this allow you to do? Put yourself in Jim's place. Put yourself in Bob's or Brian's or even Bruce. What would an income system like this allow you to do? Give me some examples in the chat. For those of you that are still working, I see the first one. Retire earlier. I like that idea. I always make the joke I was born to be retired. My wife's family, God bless them, I think they were born to work forever. They're very hardworking people. I'm a hardworking person too. I just at some point don't want to do it anymore. Like most people. Travel more. Play more golf. I love it. I know I live on the I live on the 12th fairway of a golf course. And there are nights when I will go back out there when I know the course is closed and there's no more tee times out there and I'll hit onto the green from about 150 out. It's kind of fun. travel more, worry less. Exactly. Okay. Ooh, buy a muscle car and more motorcycles. I love it. Heck yeah. Man, we missed out on. Hopefully, I hate to say it, but hopefully the muscle car and the collector car market, comes back to reality. You know, I hope it does because the prices are getting ridiculous. All right. Well, anyway, just some ideas. All right. We said before that buying is gambling and selling is how you control your risk and putting the odds of success in your favor. The options paycheck system makes sure you have that guaranteed maximum risk. And it all goes back to whether you'd rather be the gambler or the casino. Because again, keep in mind, the house always wins in the end. Becoming that option seller, it's how you can make consistent income. It's how you can do it safely and with a higher probability of success than just being a buyer. Okay. Now, we want to put this together. I want to show you how you can have that bulletproof system and you can do as little as 15 minutes a day. And my students who've implemented the system have told me this is one of the most important things they learned. Why? Well, one of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is it going to take me? And that's a great question. Well, here's the challenge. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to be able to find how to pick the right stock with the right strategy. When do you get in? What expiration? What price? What do you do if it goes against you? When do you get out? With all that in mind, people feel like it's trying to find a needle in a haystack because there's so much information out there. You don't know what to look at, what not to look at. You spend hours researching your trades, going from guru to guru looking for advice. Without a system, you're trading blind. You're like a mouse running through that maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades, get reliable income, and again, as little as 15 minutes a day. But to do it, you need a system, and not just any system. A straight line system, a really simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options paycheck system in the order they go in. Listen, no one else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. There's 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and then the 6th kind of ties it all together. At the top of the system is market direction. And a lot of traders simply ignore this. And they just go out and start placing trades all over the place. You're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish, and you must have a way to know the market's direction. By doing this, you've narrowed your focus. So instead of looking at everything, you're again only looking at one of 2 possible scenarios. We have a timing system built right into our paycheck system that we use to tell market direction. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you got to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. So just trading the stocks you know, or listening to TV or reading the IB or whatever, it's not the right choice for this. You want to find good stocks that are already in uptrends when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Now, we save a lot of time in 2 ways. Our system looks at 2 main things, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches in VectorVest we use instead of digging through all the data that those institutions throw at you. Now that you got your list of stocks, you want to find a way to select the best ones for option trading. Not every good stock will be an option income candidate. Now, our option system focuses on volatility. We want to find stocks that have increased option volatility, but we don't stop there. To take even more risk out of the trade, we filter out those with upcoming earnings events. Why? Because earnings can throw the stock any which way that you can think of. We also want to make sure that expiration is in that 21 to 45 day sweet spot, because as faster the time decays, that puts more probability in my hands. Now, you can use tools from a broker to help. We have a proprietary search tool which helps me find these in just a matter of seconds. Now it's time to set up the trade. We pick the one that has the highest probability of success. How do we find the probability? Based on the individual strike prices. We're going to sell the strike that has the highest probability while maintaining the proper risk to reward. It's no good being 90% if one bad trade is going to wipe out all your winners. Okay? We got to make sure we maintain that risk reward. Now, before you place the trade, you got to know what to do if a trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our options paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. I kind of mentioned about 50% earlier. These can be set up in advance with your broker. And if a trade ever goes against you, we have an adjustment strategy that you can use. It's completely optional, but it can bring in more income to minimize your losses. We also know exactly when to exit the trade. And I can even put that order in advance with my broker so it happens automatically and unemotionally for me. Now, lastly, you want a way to do this quickly. You don't want to be spending all day on the process. So you need a tool that allows you to do these things. It should be something you're comfortable using. Some brokers have tools that are way better than others. IB's great tools. Thinkorswim has great tools. Fidelity has good tools. Schwab Active Trader has good tools. I like to use paid tools. For example, our proprietary tool from VectorVest called Options Pro saves a ton of time putting these together. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. Each of them said they're getting results in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and worked. He said he wanted to have that proper balance between trading and free time. He didn't have enough free time. He didn't have that proper work-life balance. You ever hear that? Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time. He's able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in 4 months. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're already good at. So, for example, if you have a quick way to find a list of stocks likely to go in the direction of the market, then guess what? You're good at market direction, you're good at stock finder. But if there's an area where something isn't working or you need a little work, put a frowny face. For example, if you don't know how to manage and repair an options trade, that's a frowny face. It's an area you need to work on. Don't overthink it. I want you to take about 10 seconds, give yourself a star or a frown. I'll give you about 10, 15 seconds. Now, I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. So let me ask you, type in the chat, what areas do you need to work on? All right. First answer, I need to work on all of them, Ron. That's okay. Listen, you got to start somewhere. And by the way, for those of you, I see, I've never traded options before. I got to go with all of them. If you've never traded options before, you're in the right place because I can teach you how to do this from the ground floor. I always use this analogy, right? And I think a lot of people that do sports and activities would do the same thing. I've been golfing for probably 20 years. I've been bowling for like 40. I'm really good at I'm really good at bowling. I'm average at golf. Okay? I wish for both activities or sports, whatever you want to call them, I could go back and just wipe my mind of everything I know about those two. Find an instructor and learn from the ground floor properly because I'd probably be so much better, especially at golf. That's what it's like when you learn how to do things right from the start. So keep that in mind if you're a beginner. Everything, Gary, Paul, all the last four in particular. Listen, you now have a starting point of what to work on, but we need to get it to where you have stars all the way down because once you do, you'll be able to generate income every month and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I can't know your exact reason for coming to today's webinar, but I'm going to make a few guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly. You're bumping from one wall into the next. It's left you with inconsistent results. You make a little bit of money, but maybe you give it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim did before he learned the paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss. No small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, today I showed you the secret to fixing that. And it's, again, a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw how it's possible to win even if you're wrong, how it can be done with very little risk, even less risk than buying and selling stocks. You saw the system to get consistent income every month. And I showed you just a few of the many, many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating your consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows the secret. That means there's going to be 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options, making all the mistakes we talked about. You can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. Because as long as there's those gamblers, they need the casinos. And remember the old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor. Just like you saw Brian, just like Bruce, like Bob, like Jim, like Hugh, like John. So if you're like most people, you're wondering, well, how do I implement the options paycheck system in my portfolio right now? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you could do nothing. Stay exactly where you are right now. And if you already have enough money to retire and you're not really worried about running out of money and you don't really want an extra paycheck, then that's great. It's a great place to be. But if you do want to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with two other options. Option two is you can do it alone. You can try to learn how the option trades work, figure out the direction of the market, learn to analyze thousands of stocks, find the best one to trade, hope you pick the right one, manage it correctly. Listen, if you work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Option three is to let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you're going to have that simple system to follow. So, of those three options, what's going to be easier? There's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never takes action or does anything to make it happen. Person number two is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see an opportunity in front of you. And since you're dedicated to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that's going to make you the perfect candidate to get started on that first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using options, even if you've never traded an option before. The Options Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches the secret to generating consistent income with options. It shows you how to exactly find, set up, and manage option spreads to generate income. It shows you how to do it safer and consistently in any market condition so you never fear running out of money. After going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms, so you never have a fear of options. You're going to have clear signals telling you whether to place a bullish or bearish trade, and more importantly, when not to trade. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that are the best candidates using a rules-based approach. That's going to free up a lot of time. You're going to be able to set up income trades that give you a base statistical 70% or more success rate. You're going to have a trade management plan in place prior to placing your trade. That way you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker, like a pro, whether it's your first trade or your 500th trade. You're going to implement a system that's going to help you consistently and safely generate income. That way you can live the lifestyle you want without ever having that fear of running out of money. Now, the course itself is 8 modules, and we made them so each module builds on the one prior. As you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, is that system for consistent income. Now, the first 2 modules, we call these the Option Income Foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they base that portfolio on a weak foundation of knowledge. We totally understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. That's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you're going to get from Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently use them in your trades. You're going to know which terms to pay attention to, which terms to ignore. That way you're not wasting time or getting frustrated. In Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is and how it works. You're going to be filled with the confidence you need to start building your income system around these powerful trades. Now that you've got that solid foundation of options knowledge, we're going to lay out the step-by-step system to placing those income trades to generating those options paychecks. Each step along the way stacks probability in your favor and reduces risk, and it all starts with knowing when to trade. Here, you're going to get complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all the possible trades, you're going to be narrowing your focus. You're going to know whether to place a bullish trade, bearish trade, and when not to trade. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. That's going to stack your probability even more. The outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now that you got your stocks, it's time to narrow it down to the best option candidates. Remember, not every stock's going to be a good options trade. We want to make sure we trade the ones that give us the highest probability for profits. Now, using the rules in this module, you're going to make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trade and making it so you can make money even if the stock goes nowhere. You're going to continue to stack probability and reduce risk in Module 6 by the way you set up your trade. Here, you'll make sure your trade has the perfect combination of risk and reward to know exactly where to set your trades. Great trades, they don't happen by accident. They happen because of careful planning and strategically setting them up correctly from the beginning. Now, you got your high probability trade picked out, you ready to go? Module 7, you're going to learn how to have your plan in place so you know when to exit the trade, not only to take profits, but to minimize losses. You're never again going to be frozen like a deer in the headlights. No matter what the market throws at you, You're going to know how to react, and that allows you to trade stress-free. Now that you got the best stock, you set up your low risk, high probability option trade, you mapped out your management game plan, it's time to place your trade. This module is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps that you can commit to muscle memory in no time. And we put everything you need into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. When someone is first starting out, it's always comforting having that security blanket to make sure you did everything correctly. And entering trades with your broker can be intimidating. So in addition to video walkthroughs of several popular brokers, we put together click-by-click directions for the most popular options broker, Schwab's thinkorswim platform. Now, before we talk about the low price of the course, let me make it even more low risk for you. We offer a 100% money-back guarantee. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied we taught you how to profit using options, just notify us within a week of finishing the course, and you get your money back. It's no risk. All we ask is that you give it your best effort. Come to the classes, watch the recordings, whatever you want to do the assignments, because we know if you do, you're going to see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. Now, the reason why I have such a refund policy like that is because I only want to attract those who are excited to jump in. Most importantly, do the work to get the results. I want to attract serious investors. In order to do that, when I make a policy like this, I only attract people who are serious about getting results. And when you do the system, you'll be learning the system that averages 3% per month. That's 36% per year on average. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do this every week. Now, I received this email from a client who took the course. Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the options paycheck course. I took your class last fall and wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade. So far, I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 I've taken, a 68% winning rate. I've profited over $100,000 in this time. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown in regards to taking really good risk-reward trades, I've profited over $50,000 in the last 6 weeks. My success rate has been 78% over my last 100 trades. I only take trades with a 2 to 1 or better risk-reward. I want to thank you for teaching this simple but very effective system. Now, before I go into that a little bit more, I want you to understand, Joe trades more than I do. I trade 12 to 15 trades a month, maybe occasionally a little bit more. He trades 30 trades a month. There's nothing wrong with that. I've talked about how you can trade one trade on the SPX a week. You can scale this system to however you want it. That's the beauty of it. One trade in 15 minutes, 30 trades a month in 2 hours. It's completely up to you. You know, this is awesome. And if I told Joe I'd give him 100 grand in exchange for 2,000, do you think he would take that trade? Would you take that trade? Well, I got a better offer for you here, as you're going to see. Now, before I tell you any more about it, I want to point something out. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. It's serious and requires some effort on your part. So if you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously and who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this and you're ready to do the work and get the results, then the options paycheck experience is perfect for you. Step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course. However, we got some amazing bonuses for you as well. Bonus 1 is what we call the mastery package. The mastery package includes module by module mastery sessions. Each week, we're going to have 2 mastery sessions, one dedicated to each module to help you master the course material. Plus, on Friday, I'll have an additional live Q&A. That means you'll have 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. The mastery package also includes private dedicated email support with me and my team. Additionally, if you don't already have it, we'll give you access to VectorVest and Options Pro. That's the stuff that I use, the software that you can test drive the best tools on the planet to help you implement the system. With this mastery package bonus, you're going to have the tools and support you need to master the techniques taught in the course, so you're ready to place that first income trade in the shortest time possible. Now, the second bonus is what we call the implementation month. You're going to get access to our live trading sessions. Every Monday, I place live trades with my clients. During those sessions, you're going to watch me find, select, set up, place trades in real time. Plus, I'll show you how I manage my existing trades each week. And this is such a huge bonus. You're going to see the paycheck system in action. You can follow along in your own account if you want to. I'll also hold live office hours twice a week. Together, we're going to walk through the system step by step in real time. Our past students said this was one of their favorite parts of the course because watching that repetition really helped cement the concepts and the processes for them. Now, if you're worried it might be too much, I'm including this bonus. It's called the SPX paycheck system. This is where I take the entire course, I boil it down to something you can do as little as 15 minutes a week. One trade type with one ticker symbol, one setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. Simple and easy to do. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter, and she was able to do the trades. For many of my students, this is the only system they use. Now, as a recap, with today's offer, you're going to get the complete options paycheck training program, which includes 8 training modules, videos, checklists, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, and more. You're going to get the bonus mastery package that includes VectorVest and Options Pro software for the 7 weeks of the live course. You're going to get the implementation month bonus, the SPX paycheck system. The total value of that is $54.75. So here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. So if you choose to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio, even if you've never had success with options before. So if you want to join me, have me take you by the hand and install this in your system, this system in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price of the course is $12.95. However, you have spent about an hour with me today, so I want to do this just for you guys on the live webinar. If you order before the end of the webinar today, instead of paying $12.95, you can get it for $9.95. That means you get the full course, 1 year of access to the course materials, the mastery package, the implementation month, 7 weeks of Options Pro and VectorVest, all for $9.95. That $9.95 price will be only for those who register before we finish up today. Once we finish, it goes back to $12.95. If you want to order, just simply go to www.optionspaycheck.com and ask yourself, I know $9.95 is not exactly next to nothing, but how much is it going to cost you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose out by learning by trial and error? How much potential profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend trying to do this on your own? Then you got to ask yourself, how would your life be different if you did it and it worked? You know, there's a saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you could be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is going to be one of those deciding days in your life. Is it going to be the day you decide to take action and set yourself up for that secure retirement? Or is it going to be the day you look back and where you squandered a great opportunity to create a consistent income stream? I hope you don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss this opportunity. I look forward to working with all of you in our class. So again, go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered now. That $9.95 price is only available while we're live in the webinar. So if you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest possible price, now is the time to get it. Optionspaycheck.com. Don't wait or you'll miss out. Okay? Go fill in your details, get yourself signed up for the course. Now, before I break into the Q&A, I want to cover some of the most common questions I hear. And the first, and I think is the most important, is, well, Ron, when are the live sessions? What happens if I miss one? All right, guess what? The live course actually starts tomorrow. Registration closes at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Now, you have the live webinar to get it for $9.95. If you miss the live webinar, you can sign up for $12.95 up until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Tomorrow at 4:30, we have our live welcome session. This is just an hour get together where we talk about where all the materials are, what we expect from you, what you should expect from us, how to make sure you know where all the materials are, and how to get help with everything. Then on Wednesday, we're going to do our mastery for Module 1. So you sign up for the course today. You're going to get access to everything in the course except for Options Pro and VectorVest. That starts on Wednesday to coincide with the first of the month. Okay? What I want you to do before Wednesday is watch Module 1. By Thursday, watch Module 2. Those mastery sessions are where we're going to get together at 4:30 and we're going to discuss the modules. I'm going to answer your questions. I'll do the reviews with you, the quiz walkthrough. I'll do the action items walkthrough, any questions you might have. And then Friday at noon, we have an open Q&A. What's the difference between the mastery and the Q&A? Mastery sessions, I have an agenda. I have an agenda that I work through to kind of review and master the modules. Friday is a Q&A. There's no predetermined topics. You come to me with questions, I answer your questions. So what you can see is starting Wednesday through May 24th, we are going to teach you the 8 modules. My expectation of you and my hope is you do 2 modules a week. Don't try to overload it. Don't try to overcrowd it. 2 modules a week is fine. By the end of May, we will have this down. And then the last week of May into June, we are going to start implementing. I'm going to invite you to my live courses on Mondays, and the first one's on Tuesday because of the holiday. And then Wednesday and Friday, we have office hours. Now, come to these sessions. Don't come to these live sessions. It doesn't matter. I record every single thing we do. So if you can't attend live, it's not a big deal. You can simply go to our university site. Within a couple hours after the live course, the recording will be posted. You can watch it. If you have a question for me that you want me to demonstrate in one of these masteries or Q&As, ask me, send me an email. I'll answer your question, walk you through it. You can watch the recording later on. You don't have to watch any of these live if you don't want to. Okay? Now, one of our other clients who signed up, Greg, he said, prior to the course, I was struggling with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away from me, and I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more of my portfolio than I can afford to lose. After taking the options paycheck, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. In the first month, I made a net of $10,200 from my options income trade with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity that I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You'll make more in the first month than you paid to take the course. I was one of the fences who didn't take the course for a long time and I saw it offered. I lost a lot by not taking the program sooner. I'm very grateful and appreciate the work that was put into making the training program available. Next big question we get is, Ron, how much options experience do I need? Well, we poll all of our prior attendees. 85% of the people that took the course over the last 9 years have said you can be successful with little to no prior options experience. We have the training available so you can get started on this from a very low knowledge base. Just a few more of the folks that have attended our classes. Cheryl, I've really surpassed my expectations. I don't need the money back guarantee. I tripled my investment. Frank, after taking the course, I already have a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Now I believe in the options trade I'm doing. Cam, I've made back the initial investment so many times over. Even though it's a small part of my portfolio, it's probably the most profitable. Jake, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. Some of our more recent clients, Neville, thanks for a wonderful course. Within a short period of time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, your desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought in the training manual. Already paid for my tuition with a few XPX Delta 35 trades. David says the options paycheck experience is by far the best course I ever attended in all my years with VectorVest since '99. You've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you presented the material is truly outstanding. Ben, the attention I received for all my email questions is above and beyond what I expected. A lot of my questions were demonstrated in class, which made my learning much easier. So again, don't miss out. Get that price of $9.95. It's only available while we're on the webinar live. After it goes up to $12.95. Registration closes tomorrow at 10. Go to optionspaycheck.com, fill in your details, get signed up. You'll get access to all the course materials tonight, Options Pro and VectorVest on Wednesday. You'll be ready to start, ready to implement a good trading income approach for 2024. All right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in my colleague Brian. He's sitting in the background answering questions from you guys, and we will do a Q&A session.
All right, fantastic, Ron. We have a lot of chatter in the chat here. And first one I'm reading it from Edwin. He's a local. I don't know. You mentioned earlier that we're in Charlotte, a little north of Charlotte. You're up in Ohio, but we have offices in both places. Edwin's like, I'm in. Is this an online class? Because I'm in Charlotte, and I know VectorVest's office is in Charlotte. He wants to know if we have classes in person. I said, hey, Ron, and that was right before he typed that in, right before you went through that explanation of what's online, what's recorded, and how the class works. But it's great to see that enthusiasm.
I like it.
So welcome aboard to all of you who are in. You should get an email from us. I'd say by tomorrow, you'll get an email from us because we're going to be processing the orders as quickly as we can. You get an email by tomorrow. And a couple of quick notes. Tomorrow morning is the last day you could register. So that's a huge thing, right? So no matter who you are, if you want to take this class now, tomorrow at 10 a.m. is the last day and time you'll be able to get into this class. And the $9.95 is only valid while we're live here. That'll go away. So that's the best. Now's the best time, because right after we're done here, it'll go up to $12.95. Still a great investment, but that'll be good until tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, and then registration closes. Now, we do have an additional thing that some people in the chat who have taken the class with you before, Ron, we call them alumni. We also say that we have a refresher available. So those of you who have taken the class with Ron, maybe it's been 3 or 4 years since you've taken the class and you just want to kind of get back in the groove. The we have a refresher rate of $4.95. And that refresher rate is also only good until tomorrow at 10 a.m. So it's Tuesday at 10 a.m. So let's see, Ron, why don't we just do this? There's a lot of people here who have never seen the class before. Would you be able to kind of show them, like take them for a behind the scenes? Oh, wow,
Sure.
you're ready.
I am ready.
I'll pass it over to you to give the little behind the scenes tour of the class.
All right, sounds good. All right, so this is this site you're going to get access to right off the bat. So over on the left-hand side, this is where kind of all the magic is. This is where all your lessons are, your recordings, your slides, all the materials. So right up on top, it says, welcome to the Options Paycheck Experience. There's going to be a little watch me first video. It's about 7 or 8 minutes long, just kind of welcome you to the course. Now there's a live welcome recording. That's actually going to be posted tomorrow. Wait a minute, not tomorrow. It'll be posted on Wednesday. The recording, the class will actually be tomorrow, but we release it on Wednesday. Watch that if you want to. Come to the live welcome session, completely up to you. It's perfectly fine. Okay? Now, what I really want you to do in this first section is go to the course curriculum checklist, because this is kind of a guide to what we want you to do in all the modules. So if you scroll down, print this out. Under every module, there's a little check mark. Make sure you watch the snapshot, watch all the lessons, watch the module review, did your review questions, did your action items. We want to make sure that you're doing all the steps in each module. Okay? You can write in questions over here for us that you want to ask during Q&As or mastery sessions, or email us, either way. And the most important thing I think in this document is all the way at the bottom. This is the live event schedule. So you can see Tuesday, April 30th at 4:30 is our welcome session. May 1st at 4:30 is our mastery session, and onward and so forth all the way through the end of June. Our last class together is June 21st. Okay? Now below that, these are all of the actual modules. In every module, the heart of it is the recorded lessons. You're going to watch the modules via recording on your own. So you can watch them in the morning, in the afternoon, evening, whenever you want to. Watch all the lessons and the module review and action items. Every module has an action item. We want you to start implementing this fast as well. Okay? Underneath the recorded lessons, you have the review questions. We have little quizzes that we do. Like, if you bought one call option at Costco, you have the right to buy shares of Costco. If you bought a foot, you have the right to sell. So again, these are all of the questions that we want you to answer. Every section has an action item. This is a video of me walking you through the action items. So just kind of getting that done. Frequently asked questions, and then most importantly, you're going to find the recording for the mastery session. Now, really quick, if I open up the recording section, and you'll see that every module has that mastery session recording. You're going to find that there's already a placeholder there. It says January 31st, 24. But Ron, I thought you said that we record the live ones. Well, we do. Our first live session for the mastery is on Wednesday, May 1st. Within a few hours of the end of that, you'll see that date update to May 1st. Just like if you go on to Module 2, you'll see that date right there update to May 2nd. So we'll post those usually within a couple hours after the end of the live session. And that takes you through all 8 modules. Remember, we want you to do 2 modules a week. That's the key. Now, below the modules, remember that SPX paycheck system we talked about? There it is right there. If you're interested in starting with the SPX fast, my goal or my advice is watch the SPX paycheck video. Just open that guy up. Gives you the snapshot and how it works. And then my advice would be watch the 35 delta trade. Do not do the 20 delta trade. Much more complicated. Do the 35 delta trade. This is what I use every day. And then some review questions. Now those Friday Q&As, this is where you're going to find all of the recordings for that. So from week 1, we have a Q&A on Friday. About an hour or so, or a couple hours after the class that we have next Friday, or this Friday, which is May 3rd, right? May 3rd. That'll change up to May 3rd. So for weeks 1 through 4, this is where you'll find the Q&As. Once we get into week 5, this will be the recordings for our office hours section. We won't have to worry about that for another couple weeks. Under that, these are the videos, the recordings for our live trading sessions. So as these can become live, you'll see those dates update just like everything else. And listen, if you want to go back and watch some of my old classes I did with my last class, by all means, watch those. If you want to get a quick idea of what I do. You're going to get 7 weeks access to Options Pro. That runs through the end of the class. I think June 21st it was. Here's some tutorial videos for Options Pro that you can watch. Risk graph, by the way, is one of the things that a lot of people need help with to understand how an options risk graph works. We got 3 videos for that. Underneath that is the broker help videos, where we talk about using individual brokers. We talk about placing orders, how to find the analysis that we're looking for. We have Thinkorswim, E-Trade, IB, Ally, and Fidelity. And then most important, I think, is the webinar links. So about 24 hours before each live webinar, we send out a email to give you the link. Well, email doesn't always work. It gets put to spam or clutter or whatever. If you find yourself, hey, it's 4:30 and we're supposed to have a welcome session, I have no idea how to get to it. Go to the university site, all the way at the bottom, click on live webinars, schedules, and links. There you go. There's the link right there for the live welcome session tomorrow. Mastery session on, actually that date's wrong. It should say Wednesday, May 1st. And then this one's Thursday, May 2nd, and then Friday, May 3rd. And again, you'll see the links for all of the classes going forward. And then lastly, under resources, this is where you're going to find all the printable stuff. So module 1, if you want a copy of the slides to print them out, black and white and color, worksheet action items. As you go through the modules, module 7 will start adding things like the position sizing worksheet. Module 8 has the checklist that you need. The SPX trading system has checklists for the SPX system, some click-by-click order entry for Thinkorswim. Basically everything that you're going to need to make sure this course is perfect.
Are you ready for another one, Ron?
I am.
All right. So we had Paul. This is an easy one. Paul says, can you just show the slide that has the schedule again? He's trying to check out his schedule to make sure he's able to, he says he's trying to plan ahead.
Cool. There's the schedule for May. And again, remember, all these classes are recorded. So if you can't make one or can't make a couple of them, you can always watch the recordings. So I'll leave this one up there for a minute or two, and then we'll go to the other one.
All right. So while that's up there, we had a question. It's not really, he didn't even put it as a question, but I'm going to phrase it as a question. Was Peter says, I like the idea of doing the options paycheck, but I don't have enough time to take care of it. So I thought for Peter and anybody else out there who's worried about time, there's a few things we could talk about regarding time. There's how much time it would take to kind of learn it. But before we even start with that, like once somebody learns this, Ron, how much time would it take to implement this on a weekly basis, and maybe with the simplest system with the SPX, and then if they decided to step it up from there to, let's say, adding in a couple of stock trades, about how much time are they looking at per week to implement?
Maybe an hour when you do like an SPX and a couple of stock trades. Really, like I said, maybe a couple hours. That's about it. It doesn't really require that much time. You can scale it down. You can scale it up as little as 15 minutes a week, really.
All right. And just like with anything, though, you have to learn something. It'll take some time to learn it.
Sure.
And the more time you put in, the more you get out of it. But it'll take a little bit of time to learn it, but it is worth it. It's an investment in your future. Just like I'm sure you and when I say you, not you, Ron, but Peter in the chat and other people, they probably went to college. Now, this isn't going to be, Ron's course is not a 4-year education, but it's, you all went to college and you learned either went to college or you went to trade school, you learned a skill, and then you use that skill for the rest of your life. All right. So Paul, I think Paul has his answer. You got the schedule, so he's all set. So again, go to optionspaycheck.com, folks. Remember, registration does close tomorrow at 10 a.m. That's the last time you're able to get into it. The $9.95 price that I think we had a slide there, that $9.95 is good just probably for the next roughly 15, 20 minutes, I think. And then that'll go away. Then it'll go to $12.95. And then the $12.95 will be good until tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And I mean, we look forward to starting this with you. You can get started. We need to close registration at 10 a.m. because Ron's first class is tomorrow. So we get everybody registered by 10 a.m. and then get all the welcome emails and the registration set up so that way you are ready to go for your first session in the afternoon tomorrow. But Ron, I'm not sure if you have the screen paused or anything. Would you be able to show that price one more time, and then we will. What I'll do is I'm just going to pass it over to you for Ron, I forgot to put the little checklist, the freebie into the handouts area. I just uploaded that for everybody. Nobody reminded us.
Yeah,
Nobody
I completely forgot to.
It's a disease. Ron and I forget these handouts, but it is in the handouts area for you. We'll leave it in there for a few seconds, but I'm going to pass it over to Ron so you could wrap up for the night, and we look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you again, Brian, and thank all of you for attending me this last about an hour and a half, so I appreciate it. For those of you that are excited, signed up, I look forward to working with you. It's going to be great. We're going to have a lot of fun together, and most importantly, not just fun, we're going to make some money. That's really what it's all about. We're going to make some money and have a good time. So with that, I will go ahead and sign off for tonight. Thank you again for attending, and we will see all of you hopefully tomorrow in our welcome session. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great evening, and see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone.